showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
How are you, Andy?
I'm good. Good this fine Saturday morning. How are you doing?
I'm very good. Happy Saturday to you, sir.
Yes, happy Saturday.
Getting ready for the eclipse?
Not really. Eclipse, schmeclipse.
You're not up on the eclipse? You don't care so much about the eclipse?
You know, I always am excited for eclipses, but until the universe is kind enough to direct the 100% full eclipse at me, it's just, I'm not going to play its game.
Well, I relate, and I happen to be where the universe is actually directing the full totality at me.
I know.
Year. It's our fair city, our fair community. I would say not just the city, but Salem, the coast, the Madras is like it is. It's full DEFCON 5, Eclipse DEFCON 5. Is it 5 or 1? Which is the more intense one? I can't remember.
5.
5, yeah. We're at full DEFCON 5 for Eclipse Mageddon, and hours and hours and hours of backup on these little highways that can't handle it, and so it's going to be a disaster. My own family is leaving me at home because I refuse to go outside. They are driving down to Salem on tomorrow, tomorrow early, and they're sleeping on the floor of a friend's office building in order to be able to wake up, avoid the traffic, and watch it from downtown, from the roof of this office building in downtown Salem. So they should
Holy cow.
Yeah, they should get full totality for 2.5 minutes, and then I don't know. It's going to take them 3 days to get home, as far as I've been told. Yeah, it's a circus. It's a complete circus. I don't see it. It is the planets, Andy, are doing exactly what we're asking them to do. They just keep spinning.
Right.
Just keep spinning. And
does your family know they can get the same view from your house?
They will be off by like 0.8 degrees. That is not full totality, Andy. It's not full totality.
I see.
You got to be part of it.
Yeah, I think it's like 70% down where I am, and I'm I'll still enjoy it. I'll go outside and I'll blind myself trying to look at it for a couple seconds.
I think that's a mistake, but we'll let history bear that out. What do we have to talk about today?
Well, we've got some trailers, we've got some listener feedback, and we've got some box office. We've got our list, and maybe we'll throw something else in there.
All right. Well, let's start with the something else. Do you want to talk about this Obi-Wan movie?
I'm really curious about it. I'm always one for more Star Wars stories. I don't get upset if it's another prequel or sequel. I just enjoy them. I think that they're fun to watch, and I enjoy the universe. I've been enjoying the comic books. I think the stories that they're coming up with are interesting. I think an Obi-Wan movie is a really interesting direction to go. If they get Ewan McGregor back, I think that's a win. Even if they don't, I think it's still going to be fine. The thing I'm most curious about is the fact that they picked Stephen Daldry to direct it, which didn't seem like the choice to kind of helm a big, epic Star Wars film. What did you think of that?
Well, I actually I think it's probably the best thing they could do is bring somebody who is from outside the big blockbuster, superhero sci-fi scene. His debut as Billy Elliot, and if you're a fan of the story of Billy Elliot, you could say that Billy Elliot is effectively the young Obi-Wan musical, couldn't you? If all he wanted to do was dance.
I remember him saying that in when the press junkets,
right? Yeah. That's what he said. He said, "This young Billy, he's just like a young Obi-Wan." So I have high hopes that there is more dancing. This Obi-Wan movie introduces more youthful dancing and exuberance. I actually am excited about it. I haven't watched much of The Crown, but man, am I hearing such great things about it. He directed a couple of episodes, I guess, for the Crown, and ended up with an Emmy nomination out of that.
And he's doing Wicked, the musical, also soon, I believe.
Wicked, the musical, the movie?
The movie, yeah. Wicked, the musical, the movie.
That's fantastic. You see, I would love to see that. So I'm actually looking forward to it. I think it's just a different eye, and if anything, we're getting out of this Star Wars story stuff. Hopefully, it's just bringing in a batch of people with their own vision. Who will just lend their that sort of vision to the universe. I think it can only do good by the stories.
Well, and that's always the crux of it, because that's what they want out of this. And I think that's always the dilemma: is, are the people managing the Star Wars property right now letting these people bring their own vision to it? I mean, certainly it seemed like that was the battle that happened with the Han Solo movie. It sounds like there might have been some other issues with just the pace that the filmmakers were using as they were trying to get the movie put together. But then they brought Ron Howard in, who's I think he's a pretty safe filmmaker. I think he's made some amazing films, but I also think he makes some pretty safe films.
Right.
Is certainly somebody who knows how to play by the studio's rules, and maybe he's just an older, wiser filmmaker, and maybe they're kind of looking at Stephen Daldry as that, somebody who has a little more wisdom in the industry, but also kind of knows how to play the game and will kind of, play along and just kind of do what he's told, maybe injecting a little bit of his sensibilities periodically.
Yeah, I feel like if it's even just a little bit of his sensibilities, then we'll have more of a variety in the Star Wars universe than we do under Kevin Feige's leadership in Marvel, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Which those movies, in terms of just their visual architecture, feel much more akin to one another than leadership of each of those films would indicate.
Yeah.
So, and I like them. I'm a fan of them. I enjoy them for what they are. But I would love to see Star Wars. If you're going to go down this road, I would love to see Star Wars have a little bit more of that independence in telling these stories.
Yeah, I would too. It's interesting because I think you can start looking at it kind of like the James Bond franchise, where they bring in different directors to kind of helm it and everything, mm-hmm. but really it's the Broccoli family that's kind of guiding it, and it still is going to always have that James Bond element. But I do feel there are certain directors who brought different elements to the story, and so I'd like to think that they're going to stay with a consistent feel, but still have some different sensibilities with it. So I guess we'll just see how it all plays out once we watch them.
You want to talk about what's going on in the box office?
Yeah, we had, it looks like two big movies opened this weekend, The Hitman's Bodyguard and Logan Lucky. And Hitman's Bodyguard was, it had some funny previews and everything, and it looks like it kicked off its Thursday night previews with a decent number of ticket sales. Logan Lucky doesn't look like it is going to do as well, unfortunately. Right now, they're estimating that Hitman's Bodyguard will hit number one at the box office with only not even 17 million, maybe 16.8. Annabelle looks like they're hoping it'll hold on to number 2 slot, and Logan Lucky coming in at number 3 with about 9.5 million. So we'll have to see how they do.
I know you've been busy reading your trailer over the last couple of days, so you didn't get out to see Logan Lucky. I've been busy babysitting a puppy, so I have not gotten out to see Logan Lucky. But the Once and Future King, Steve Sarmento, did get out to see Logan Lucky, and I just have to share his review. I don't think it's too spoilery. Steven Soderbergh's return to the big screen showcases the talents that made him one of the top filmmakers of the 2000s. 16 years after Ocean's 11, we get another heist comedy that delivers everything we expect. The team being assembled, the plan, the execution of the plan in a large-scale setting. This time NASCAR, the aftermath, and the flashbacks of the true plan. Soderbergh manages the juggling act of various storylines and plot points so that we always know what's going on. At least we think we do. This was another pleasant surprise for the summer of 2017. And I'm looking forward to viewing it again. He gave it 4 stars. I'm actually really excited about this. It's a movie you and I both talked about on the main show when we were doing trailer picks over there. It is. I was such a huge fan of the Ocean's movies. I thought they were funny and smart, and I know I was an island on a couple of them. But I did enjoy them very much, and so I meet this film with great anticipation. It's disappointing that it's not performing better at the box office.
I know, that really is disappointing. It's one of those ones where it looks kind of quirky, And sometimes those quirky movies are hard to
Yeah.
get an audience to really tap into. And if anything, I like to think if it doesn't find its home at the box office, that it will become one of those cult classics that finds its audience once people can watch it at home.
Have you seen much of the many of the pressers, the press interviews? They are, to my eye, they're getting Daniel Craig out there in force to press this movie, but I haven't seen anybody else.
I haven't seen any of them, so you've seen more than I have. That's interesting, though.
Again. Shall we talk trailers?
Let's do it.
I'm going to go first because I know how excited you are about yours.
That sounds good. Go for it.
Mine will be quick. I'm doing Rememory this week. Rememory, directed by Mark Polanski, written by Polanski and Mike Vukadinovich, stars Peter Dinklage, Julia Ormond, and, may he rest in peace, Anton Yelchin. It is a story of the widow of a wise professor stumbles upon one of his inventions that's able to record and play a person's memory. Dinklage is tasked with solving the mystery of his murder using this device. It smacks of a little bit of Strange Days, smacks of Brainstorm, a little bit of Brainstorm, with Christopher Walken, Natalie Wood. That was delightful, just delightful. And so it is reminiscent of all of those things. Rotten Tomatoes says it's not looking great, but Martin Donovan's in it, and Martin Donovan is in one of my favorite shorts of all time, Surviving Desire. And so how can anything with Martin Donovan go south, one might ask. I think it looks interesting, but also because I'm predisposed to like these ideas of, things that toy with the brain and record memories and record emotions and those sorts of stories. I'm always, hell, we watch Strange Days again, and it's not a great film, but
you chose
the idea, the idea is that is something that that is very satisfying for me. What do you think of the trailer?
Yeah, it looks interesting. It kind of reminded me of this Robin Williams film called The Final Cut. That I think it was called The Final Cut, that came out 2004 or so, where he was it was like a futuristic film editor, but they had like these weird machines, and he was doing it was kind of another sort of detective mystery sort of thing, and it was just kind of a quirky indie sci-fi sort of story that I thought was pretty interesting. This looks like it's the same sort of thing. Like there's an interesting sci-fi element going on here. It looks like an interesting kind of world that they've created here. I love the idea of Peter Dinklage in anything, so it definitely kind of piques my curiosity. I don't know if the story sells me, but I think it looks interesting enough where I probably will give it a chance.
Yeah, it's one of those that depending on how you actually use Rotten Tomatoes, and let's just see, because I think it's getting maybe a bad rap unfairly, and so I just wonder. Just bear with me here. Rememory. Let's see here. 2017. Interesting thing about its distribution is that it's going to play for 2 weeks for free. On beginning August 24th on Google Play. So
I saw that. Interesting.
Sign up for an account. You'll be able to see it there. I don't, dubious distribution. It's got a 17% freshness rating. The average rating out of 10 is a 4. Which is, as we have learned from that handy video that I believe Ben Lott posted over in the Slack channel, we've been doing it wrong, and that's the measure we need to look at, how the average rating out of 10, and this is a 4. That's not great. That's not in the, hey, I'm going to roll the dice, it's a 6 or above rating
right
yet. So I'm worried about that. But I'm with you. I love Peter Dinklage. I'll see him. I love seeing his career take off after Game of Thrones, as it has his notoriety. So I'm in. It also has a gorgeous poster, so I'm in it for that too.
Excellent.
What's yours?
Mine, Pete, as you mentioned or alluded to earlier, I just finished reading mine. It's Ready Player One. And I know the trailer has been out for a few weeks, but having just finished the book last night, I was excited to go back through the trailer and watch it. And I went down a rabbit hole looking at all the Easter eggs in the trailer, and it just got me pretty excited about the film. This is, of course, the big adaptation that Steven Spielberg is helming, adapting Ernest Cline's novel from about 6 years ago, I think. And is written by Ernest Cline and Zach Penn. Zach Penn generally has me worried a little bit as far as some of the stuff that he's been a part of. But I don't think he's a horrible writer. I mean, he's been a part of some interesting properties like The Incredible Hulk and The Avengers and X-Men: The Last Stand. But there's also like Elektra and Incident at Loch Ness and PCU. He's currently working on, I guess, Suicide Squad 2. So there are ups and downs with his career. I haven't been wowed by anything. I guess he got his start writing Last Action Hero, the story that was then taken by, what's his name? Why am I blanking on what's his name?
Schwarzenegger?
Last Action Hero, that was then rewritten by Shane Black. That's why I don't know. I couldn't think of Shane Black.
Yeah,
but yeah, he rewrote Zach Penn and Adam Leff's story, and I think there was a big fight about that. But anyway, that's kind of neither here nor there. Just to say, Zach Penn has had an interesting up and down career in Hollywood. I'm not super thrilled that Zach Penn is a part of this, but I'm not gonna give it too much thought at the moment, mostly because Spielberg is at the helm, and I think generally, even if his films I'm not in love with, I think he really knows how to put a film together. In this one, we have Ty Sheridan playing the lead character, Wade Watts, aka Parzival. And as he goes into this, basically it's like the future. It's like this dystopian future where the Earth sucks, and everybody pretty much spends their time in the Oasis, this online virtual world that you get to kind of, live your dreams and have fun and do cool things. And so Ty Sheridan, as Wade Watts, lives in basically the slums, the stacks, as they call them, all these motorhomes that are all stacked up on top of each other. But he spends all of his time as Parzival in the Oasis. And the guy who created the Oasis, James Donovan Halliday, played in the film by Mark Rylance, another recent Spielberg regular, created this game. And when he died, it kind of turned on, and there's this Easter egg that everybody's trying to now find to basically get control of this the Oasis and Halliday's empire. And Wade happens to be the one who finds the first key and sets this huge thing off, and it turns into this big race through the Oasis to find all of the bits and pieces to get to the final egg. And of course, Halliday grew up in the 80s, and so everything in the movie is really referencing to, and the story is references to all of his favorite things that he grew up with. So video games and movies and music and TV shows, and it's all in the book, and it's pretty exciting to see because it's, as it looks right now, it's all in the trailer too. What did you think?
Well, as you mentioned, a lot of his favorite things were from the 80s, and a lot of his favorite things were from Steven Spielberg properties. And so all of those things are in the movie, too. The meta nature of having Steven Spielberg direct a movie that is essentially about a trip down Steven Spielberg property memory lane, I don't know. I hope it's not too much for us, because I'm with you. I adore the book. I really do. And I feel like, God, there was a great review of the book that I saw on YouTube recently, where the reviewer said, make sure you read the book before the movie comes out, because as soon as the movie comes out, anytime anybody mentions Ready Player One, it's going to be about the cinematic experience, right? And that it worries me that that will, because of the sheer pop culture weight that comes with Steven Spielberg, that we're going to forget how great the book was, because the book was really great and a lot of fun. And like you said, you just can't put it down. It is a race. It's as much of a race to read it as it is a race to through the book itself. So I'm with you on that. But the cast I really like. I'm excited about Olivia Cooke as Artemis. She was Rachel in Me, Earl and Dying Girl, which was one of my favorite movies of last year. Was it last year? God, was it further?
I think it was a couple years ago.
Anyway, I remember it as if it was last year. Ben Mendelsohn, Simon Pegg, Mark Rylance. I mean, great people in this movie. I'm very excited to see it beyond Ty Sheridan. So I'm excited about what is to come of it. I'm just a little bit heartsick because it's an adaptation that has become sort of important to me, and so it makes me nervous.
Yeah, absolutely. I get nervous too, but looking at the trailer, I mean, I like I said, I went down this rabbit hole of Easter eggs in the trailer.
Oh yeah.
And there's, you mentioned Steven Spielberg properties. I only really see two, and both of those were ones that he was more of a producer on, not so much it's something he directed. And that was Back to the Future. And I think the Scorpion that we see somebody riding might be a Transformers scorpion, but I'm not quite sure. Scorponic. It's, you say potato, I say potato.
It's not a thing.
But let me just read this list of things that we see in the trailer. And this is probably not even complete because it's insane. And I swear, I looked through so many different trailers. I don't think that there is a full HD version of the trailer out there. Did you take a picture of the QR code on the race car as it was crashing? I didn't, but I did hear that there was a secret code in there.
I'm not going to tell you. You should go do it. It's cool. It's cool. I'm not going to lie. I'm excited about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so here's the list. You ready?
I'm holding on to my seat.
I know you are. Ready? Batman, The Matrix, Harley Quinn, Deathstrike, Conan the Barbarian, Gandalf the Grey, Iron Giant, like I said, Scorponic or whatever you want to call it.
Oh, I want to call it
the
Scorponic.
Joust. Okay. The Joust Ostriches, Freddy Krueger, Duke Nukem, the Halo Assault Rifle, A-Team's van, Mad Max's car, Christine, Back to the Future DeLorean, Knight Rider, Akira's bike, Azog the Defiler, maybe Speed Racer. There's some music from Willy Wonka. You see Lara Croft in there. There's the Bigfoot monster truck. There's Shrek. There's Mortal Kombat. There's music from Rush. There's Gears of War, Street Fighter, Atari, Sega. That's just the list that I had put together so far.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about the book is he wrote it in such a way where just these things just randomly pop up. And he says that people still haven't found all of the Easter eggs that he has in the book.
Yeah.
There's just so much reference that he's throwing in there to just pop culture. And it's fun. It makes the read so much fun. And it really creates just such an exciting world. And, and as a huge fan of Joust, it was always my favorite video game.
Totally.
It was exciting to see it play kind of a key part of the story too. So I'm just really excited. I can't wait for this one. It's just we have to wait till next March to see it open.
Do you wonder at all? I wonder if this film will set a record in the most expensive film to produce as a result of legal licensing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I did wonder about that because the Iron Giant pops up in the trailer.
Yeah. He's
mentioned briefly in the book, but there's this part where people pick these robots but nobody picks the Iron Giant. And I'm wondering if the Iron Giant was picked and he's in the trailer or he's going to be in the film because the character who they're trying to get in or that we see in the book was not licensable. Like it might have been too expensive or they just wouldn't release the rights to it or something. And I'm getting we're going to have some of that. And obviously there are already changes. We have this big race featured in the trailer. There is no such thing in the book. And so I'm curious to see kind of what the differences are going to be as they start shifting this into more of the cinematic universe.
Right. All right, I'm excited about it. I'll wait till March. I will go into it with an open mind, Andy. We're definitely going to read the book again, as if we read it, like all of us in the family read it, and except my wife, so not all of us. She doesn't read those things. But we're all very excited about it, and so I think we'll try to get one more pass through it before we see the movie.
Excellent.
All right, shall we do the lists?
Let's do it.
Let's do the list. Set us up. What are we talking about today?
So, in honor of our last movie, Star Trek III, The Search for Spock, we have a character who had died and then was resurrected. So our list this week is sci-fi characters who die and then get resurrected, brought back to life in one way or another. So do you want to kick us off?
I don't know how you're going to vote on this one, but because you were such a flagrant cheater last week, I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot. This is, lest we forget, Tom Cruise's character of Bill Cage in Edge of Tomorrow, who is resurrected, in heavy air quotes, again and again and again and again and again. What do you think?
I think that's a good one.
I think so too. I was excited about it.
Yeah, that's a fun one. That's such a brilliant movie that I feel like it might be slightly cheating because it's not like, a big death, but it kind of is because he does die and he just, happens to absorb this alien blood and gets to keep reliving it. So
right. And some of those deaths are bigger than others. There's the montage of deaths, which makes them very small, but some of them are bigger than others, and I think it fits. I love what that movie did. I wish that they'd figured out how they were going to market it before they actually began marketing it, because I think it deserved an even bigger, a bigger bit of attention, mainstream attention than it got.
Absolutely, I do too.
What's your number 3?
So my number 3, I was really trying to think of ones that just kind of I felt they handled it in a kind of a way that worked or that hit me well. I guess I've got different things for each one. So this one, I just think I liked that it happened. I thought it was done in a powerful way. I thought the resurrection might have been a little just a nice little twist, but I didn't. I don't know. I guess I didn't think it was necessary, but I still liked it. And it's Professor X in X-Men: The Last Stand. When Patrick Stewart, I just thought it was such an interesting death scene. I really liked it. And then you've got that little kind of hint of the rebirth right at the very end there. It's not the greatest movie by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't know. It struck me as something that I really liked. I liked that they actually killed him off in the film, and then there's this little hint of rebirth at the end.
Were you moved? I mean, like, were you emotionally moved?
No, and I think I'm more emotionally moved by another one, like the number 1 on my list.
Yeah.
I don't know. I liked the Professor X character. I thought Patrick Stewart was such a perfect person to cast for that character that it actually really took me by surprise that they actually killed him.
Yeah.
Because I really wasn't expecting him to die. And so when they brought him back, it was a nice little twist, and it wasn't anything surprising. It wasn't anything that I guess was that great. I was just glad that he's a character I liked so much that even if it was a film I didn't like that much, I liked that they brought him back. And hey, it let us have him again in Logan. So
yeah, absolutely, and arguably, I mean, in terms of his swan song as the professor, that opened the door for it. So I agree. That's enough of a win.
He should have been on one of our lists last week.
Yeah, he really should have.
For character who died, yeah.
Yeah. God,
we're just spoiling things left and right.
Fail.
Spoiler alert.
My number 2 is I actually picked because because it made me crazy, and that is, of course, Sigourney Weaver's Ripley in Alien 3 and 4.
Alien 4.
Well,
the death in 3.
Death
and
in 3.
4.
Resurrection in 4. Yeah. Yes. Now, the death in 3, the setup of the death in 3, the visual setup, I think, was awesome. Dramatic, great music, great crane shot around the thing before she falls off backwards and does her, nesty plunge into the lava. And then the alien bursts through her chest, and it was head slapping. I'm like, oh, God, please. I did not like that. I was not crazy about that. So I think it was set up well to give me an emotional impact until it made me slap my head. And then they made Alien 4 where the head slapping just didn't stop. It was just constant head slapping. And so the emotional reaction that I had as a result of that experience was a negative one, and a sorrowful one. But I feel like it counts.
I think it definitely counts. It was sad seeing Ripley go. I didn't slap my head so much at the end of part 3. because I kind of enjoyed the way that they did that.
Yeah.
Even if it was a little bit of a Jesus dive,
Yeah.
she has her arms outstretched and everything.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it was fine. But the, if it meant that we had to suffer through part 4, then that is a shame.
Yeah, right. The door is closed.
Yeah, but Ripley is a great character, so sometimes it's hard to pass that up.
Right.
Well, my number 2, this one is on my list because it hit me at when I saw this. I guess I would have seen it when I was 5 or 6 years old. It hit me pretty strongly. Looking back at the film now, I think it is a little. I think it works. I think the way that it sets the end of the film up is a little silly, but I still like this moment, and that is the death of Lois Lane in Superman. It was an unexpected death, and it really hit me as a kid because like Lois Lane shouldn't die, and it really made me sad. I was very sad when I watched this film. And I loved that he actually spins the earth around backward to make time move backward and bring Lois Lane back to life. In retrospect, I think it's completely silly. That whole ending, I just roll my eyes at now. But I still find this moment powerful because it's such a big moment for Superman that when he loses her, he actually, puts this whole thing into motion to bring her back to life. And I think that's pretty interesting.
Oh man, I totally agree. And you know what? I don't find it silly today at all. I watched it the first time I watched it with my kids. I was thinking, wow, this is gruesome. I mean, there she is. She's being just crushed by rocks, Andy. She's being buried.
I know.
and Christopher Reeve totally sells his grief in that movie. It's like
100%.
It's so good. Like it's really good. And the fact that he spins the earth the other way, it is a ridiculous thing, but of course it works in the context of the film, and I was not taken out of it at all. I thought that's awesome. We should totally try that for some stuff. Let's go ahead and start trying that in the real. We should try spinning the world the other way. Let's just roll the dice and see what happens.
Let's send some other things back.
Let's do that.
Redo.
Believe me, we have enough things we need to do over.
Yes, we do.
I'm very excited. Okay, my last pick, my number 1, the pick that satisfied my inner 12-year-old, even though I was not 12 when I saw it, was the death of Neo in the first Matrix movie.
Very nice.
I adored the way this was done, that we have him in the hallway with the agents. He's shot. He's shot a lot, and he falls over dead, and then it cuts back into the ship, and she is talking to him. He's plugged in to the Matrix, and she's talking to him. She says she loves him, and he comes back, and that it's a quick sequence. They don't give you a lot of time to grieve before he comes back and just completely kicks ass. And it is so satisfying to me, the way that sequence plays out, that it's easily my number 1.
That is a brilliant, brilliant moment. Should have been on my list somewhere because that is such a great resurrection and brings so much to the end of that film. Yeah. So solid choice.
Thank you, sir. And your final.
My final one, I still stuck in my childhood for this other one, and it's the death of E.T. and him coming back to life because, again, just like Lois Lane, it was one of those ones that I saw at an age where it hit me hard, and it was really just a powerful moment to see E.T. die, especially when the kid finds him like in the gully there, and it's just like this pale little dead thing, and it's just so sad and awful, or a dying thing at that point. But then when he dies and Drew Barrymore starts bawling and the flower dies and everything, it just really killed me. And having that moment where the flower starts coming back to life and talk about a great cinematic moment, and tying back into Steven Spielberg. I just think that was really, really solid moment that has always stuck with me.
Oh, I love it. That's a great, great choice. It was just heart-wrenching. Death of E.T. That was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Very much. Besides so. When the death of Bambi, when Godzilla steps on Bambi in the open of that
Godzilla versus Bambi.
Versus Bambi versus Godzilla, whatever it is. Yeah, that's probably the greatest, the greatest, most impactful cinema death of my youth. This is a great list. What do we? I feel like we should tease next week. Now that we're doing this, like what are we talking about? The list for next week, so people can start thinking about what what they might add on their list.
I think we're talking, since we're going to be looking at Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home. I think we're looking at great animal rescues next week, right?
Great animal rescue, because of course the crew of the Enterprise goes back and rescues 2 whales for the future.
That's right.
Yeah. And so we thought the best animal rescues would be a good list. I don't even know where to begin.
I don't either. It'll be an interesting list, if nothing else.
We'll see what happens. So anyhow, I think that's all we have for this week, right? No other news? Let's get out of here.
I think that's it.
Get started with our weekends. Thank you, everybody, of course, for downloading and listening to this show, to all the shows, and most specifically, particularly for being supporters on Patreon. We sure appreciate you helping us do what we do with the movies every week. We sure appreciate it. Oh, there we go.
Absolutely.
It's dog time. Did you hear that?
Okay, I did.
We've got a sorrowful dog
whine.
ready to go. Thanks, everybody. We'll catch you next week on Saturday Matinee.